Good evening and welcome back to the Evermore NUFC channel. After that, well, really disappointing 1-1 draw against Everton at St James's Park. I seem to use the word disappointing an awful lot when I start these. Now I'm beginning to think I'm some sort of curse when it comes to doing post-match reviews, because I don't seem to get a decent game ever. And tonight is, well, nothing new in that regard. Really frustrating. An awful piece of defending to gift a point to Everton, which they really didn't deserve, really based on the first half performance. But we'll get into it in a second. Thank you to everybody who has joined so far. There was loads of you in the comments, and we've had a bit of chat during the game as well. So thank you to everybody for getting involved there. If you are new to the channel, please drop a like on the video, and remember to subscribe to the channel as well. We are zeroing in on 7,000 subscribers. We are 57 away now, so your help has been brilliant in getting us to that point. We will be giving away a really good prize at 7,000 as well, so stick with us and get involved in that too. So yeah, let's get stuck into the game. Well, yeah, frustrating, disappointed. I think a game where the first half, I mean, Newcastle came out the blocks. There were 4 changes to go through the team. 4 changes to the side, with Kraft starting, Lewis Hall starting as well, Anderson into the midfield, and Harvey Barnes starting as well. And the beginning of the game, it was really positive. There was lots to be really pleased about. Some real attacking intent from players. I thought Elliot Anderson was really good. He was really busy. He got stuck in. He put himself about. He was good on the ball. Lewis Hall looked really good at left back in that first half as well. Barnes, making his first start in quite some time, looked really sharp and really good on the ball, and probably should have scored after 2 minutes. But for a Pickford save, could have been the perfect start to the game for Newcastle. And that was kind of the theme for the first half. A couple of early opportunities for Doucouré and Tarkowski putting over the bar, but other than that, Everton didn't threaten at all in that first half, and Newcastle probably shot themselves in the foot. They got the goal in the 15th minute through Isak, a little lovely ball over the top from Barnes, just place it over Tarkowski's head as Isak run onto it, cut it inside, and as he's sort of stumbling past, I think it was Branthwaite, just lovely placement into the corner of the goal. And it looked for all the world that Newcastle would go on it and probably get 2 or 3. There was so much space in that first half for the team to attack into, but some wasteful passing at times from particularly, I think, Sean Longstaff. A lot all night actually gave the ball away a few times in sort of promising positions. There's one, I think, the first half where he got in towards the edge of the box and then cut the ball back to absolutely nobody. But he wasn't the only one in that regard. So there was some sloppy play in sort of the middle part of that first half. But you still thought that Newcastle would go on and get a second. There was definitely goals there for them if they wanted them, and it never really came. Pickford obviously stand out. He booed every time he got anywhere near the ball, understandably so. He saved again from Jacob Murphy's volley towards half time, and then another one from Isak just really on the stroke of half time. He gets his fingertips to and puts over the bar. And for all the world, you looked at that first half and thought that Newcastle would go on and get 2 or 3, because you come out in the second half and you just want a repeat of that first half, because I thought they were excellent. Like I say, I thought Anderson and Hall were really good. Isak's immense as always, but everybody sort of played their part in that first half, and you just thought, right, come out in the second half, give the same performance, that same intensity, that same edge to the play, and come out and do it again. But it really didn't happen, and bar a couple of opportunities, the second half was Everton's, and Newcastle just took their foot off the gas. I think early on that there were a couple of opportunities really early on in the second half that Everton got it towards the edge of the Newcastle box. And then we all thought that the second goal had come with Dan Burn finish from that well-taken free kick. Isak just didn't time his run well enough just to get down the right-hand side of the area and put the ball across for Burn to finish. And we thought that was it. But disallowed for offside. He was just. I mean, it's inches, but it is. That's fair enough. But really, there wasn't an awful lot else. I think Tarkowski put the ball against the Everton post. I think that was the best other opportunity there was. It was, Everton really on the front foot. If you look at looking at SofaScore, if you look at the attacking momentum, there's an awful lot of blue in that second half for Everton getting forward. And you saw the shot from Garner hit the post on about just after the 60th minute, I think it was. And there were a number of opportunities there where it felt like momentum was going their way. And despite the odd opportunity for Newcastle, sort of around about the 70th minute or so, I think Pickford saved again from, I think it was Bruno from a counter attack, and there was the Barnes shot that went wide as well. But it felt like it was always one-way traffic at times, because Everton just were able to play the ball forward. They were able to keep the ball. Newcastle's intensity dropped off. I think there was a lot of tiredness that crept into the play, a lot of nervousness that dropped into their play. And, seeing Hall go off was, a shame, because I think he'd had a very, very good game. And obviously he comes off for Paul Dummett, who ultimately is the villain of the piece. I don't know what on earth he's doing when that ball comes into the box, getting into that grapple with Ashley Young, who's a canny old stager now and knows the game, in and out. And what's he doing with his arm almost around his neck, pulling him down? It's a wrestling move. It's really poor, and it's from a player who hasn't played an awful lot of football, and it really showed. And he's really let the side down in that regard. There's absolutely no need to do it. I don't think the ball in the end is anywhere near Ashley Young, so there's absolutely no need to have got involved in that. And ultimately, it goes to VAR, and the referee gives it. I can't argue. We see an awful lot of that go, but that's a penalty. It's really poor from Dummett. And I think that Chris put a message out earlier on that he's off in a bar somewhere, and he put a message like that. There's the reason you don't give an extra year, because he's just not good enough to come in and do a job at that sort of level with in pressure situations. It's really told that the quality in the squad's just not there to be able to pick up the pieces. And I know there are so many players missing, but you have to have some form of quality to come in and do a job. If one or two players go down, well, I think there were 12 missing tonight, weren't there? But it just shows the drop off once you get past the likes of Hall and that, there's such a drop off in quality to the next rung, the likes of Ritchie, the likes of Dummett, and then obviously the young players that have come in as well, that we're never going to get anywhere near the side unless something drastic happened. But all in all, just a really, really frustrating night, because there's absolutely no need for that to have happened. Newcastle were in control. They should have been out of sight. I mean, it could have been 2 or 3 in the first half. They could have scored a couple. I guess in the second half, Pickford. It's one of those moments where you boo him all game, and rightly so. But he plays up to it, and I thought, unfortunately, he had a good game, and it's just really, really frustrating to see. I'll get into some of the comments, and there's an awful lot of you already in the comments, so thank you very much for getting involved. We've got a super chat from Insanity, so thank you very much, mate. Quite disappointed with that second half performance. One of those days, at least Dummett got man of the match for Everton, and it's a deal. Like I said, it is just unbelievably annoying to come out of a game where you've watched not dominance in that first half, but it was a really decent performance in the first half, and really should have gone on to produce an easy win. But such as the way that Newcastle are this season, that nothing's done easily, and sometimes they're finding a way to shoot themselves in the foot. And it's just really, really poor in the end, and a really poor way to end the game. And after such a high of the comeback on Saturday, taking the lead relatively early tonight, and the chances, it is such a poor way to finish. And Stu in the comments, what is Dummy doing? Should we know any of the squad? We should have put them to the sword. 2 points dropped against. Yeah, absolutely. Drops of points. I thought they were awful for huge parts of the game. Everton, they've offered really nothing. And the amount of possession that Newcastle had in the first half, I think it was 62% in the first half and only about 55% in the second half. But they just allowed Everton to get back into the game. There was no real control in that second. It looked panicked at times. It looked leggy, like there's a lot of players out on their feet, and that, I guess that's expected with the way that things have gone. But it's so frustrating to see. Sean in the comments as well, 1.6 against Everton. I mean, that's really telling, isn't it? The big sort of 3-0 defeat away at Goodison, and then 1-1 at home. We really should be 6 points off them, because they are such a poor side. Gebo as well, poor second half. What the fuck was Dummett doing? Yeah, completely agreed. Let's have a look further down some of these comments. Chris is in the comments. Awful. What's happened when you throw past a defender out of cry status? Get rid. Yeah, I think it's telling, isn't it? There's now there's got to be a realization from the manager and from the owners that the squad needs an overhaul. The squad needs some real work, and those players that just aren't good enough anymore. And as good as a servant as Dummett might have been, he's just not at it. He can't take up a place in the squad when you need more quality to be able to challenge at this level in the Premier League. He's not good enough to do it. He might have the odd good game, and we sang his praises earlier in the year when he played against Manchester United, I think it was, or Man City, and he did really well. But that was a cup game. In the higher pressure situation of a game against a side that is scrapping for their lives at the bottom of the league, he's not going to cut it, and really he needs to go. Keith in the comments, should have put a chance away. Yeah, I mean, unbelievable the number that were sort of missed. The Isak one that's headed off the line. I can't understand how that hasn't gone in. Really, it's the Murphy volley, even a Tarkovsky one that comes off the post. I mean, it just kind of sums up the look at times, doesn't it? It's just, yeah. Vincent in the comments, yeah, lucky Shides Everton getting away with it. Yeah, look, they were poor for much of the game, but that second half, they got themselves back into it, and really Newcastle allowed them to do it. They sat back. The intensity dropped. The drive really, I felt, dropped in the second half. There just wasn't the will to continue to press. I think Anderson did a little bit early on, but he faded really quickly in that second half and became a little bit of a passenger at times. But I think you look at the other side of the midfield, and I know there are some comments in here about Sean Longstaff, but again, I just thought he was such a passenger in the game, and where I honestly felt that alongside Bruno and alongside Anderson tonight, he might actually show somewhat of his better form, but he was poor again. He wins very, very few of his duels, and you look at some of the stats in that. I mean, SofaScore have given him a 7. I don't agree with that at all. Passing accuracy is 78% tonight. He only won 3 of his 7 ground duels, 2 of his both of his aerial duels. But you compare that to the other 2. I mean, Anderson's stats, he wins 5 of 7 of his ground duels. with a similar sort of passing percentage, but he was much more involved. He much more likely to have helped create something. But again, it's just the lack of squad depth, because you want to kind of bring him out, and obviously when Anderson's legs were gone, you bring Willock in, and there's then nobody else to come in and kind of take the place of Longstaff, because realistically, I think he should have been the next one to come off at that point. So yeah, we'll go through some more comments. Can't understand why Dubs, after getting his handball, doesn't save it. It's weak. I sort of get you, John. I do. I think he gets a big hand to it, and it does go. It then goes up into the roof of the net. To be honest, I thought he'd saved it initially. I mean, Calvert-Lewin's gone for power with a penalty instead of placement, and Dummett might have been as well. Dummett. Dubravka gets a big hand to it, and I thought he got enough on it, but it's harsh. It's really difficult in penalty situations to be able to do that, especially when the striker hits it with such force. But he did well. He got a good hand to it. To be fair, I thought Dubravka had an all right game. I thought his reading of it was better than it was at the weekend. His starting position at times was a little bit better. But one or two moments where he was too far back and he hesitated to go for the ball, but he got away with it. I thought he read one. Was it in the second half when maybe it was in the first half where he sort of read the ball and playing it and just came out of the box with it before an Everton player could get to it. And I thought he swept that quite well, but he just doesn't give you confidence. And you can see the players, you can see the defenders unwilling to give him the ball at times. They're taking the ball away from him. I mean, Fabian Schär at least twice tonight ran across him to take the ball away without leaving the ball to get to him, because I just think there's a huge element of trust that isn't there for them. So that's really disappointing to see. Yeah, Jason, very hard to take that result. Scrap any ideas of giving a new contract. Absolutely, I think time is up. He has to move on now. It's just really telling. JPT so pissed off with that result. 2 massive points were thrown away with one of the stupidest pieces of defending I've ever seen. Completely agree. When you consider up until that point, Newcastle have taken a step up. West Ham 1-1 with Spurs at the moment, and you jump ahead of them, and suddenly into seventh, and there's a little bit of momentum that goes on there, and that helps going into the next games, and that's taken away. And it's just really, really, really annoying at that point. Keith, no way we're getting into Euro next season. 10th at best. I think that's a little hard. Maybe Europe is a no-go, but I think eighth at worst. I still think there's a way to get ahead of West Ham in this chase. I think you can, when you're looking at the games that are left, you can stay ahead of Brighton. And of Wolves and of Chelsea. So I think eighth is probably there, the right place, especially with the injury problems. But it's games like that though. 2 points thrown away, and there's absolutely no need. Ali B1 sickening, yeah, absolutely. I guess it's against the Scouse Mackhams as well, isn't it? And it always hurts a little bit more for those sort of results. So, yeah, really sickening. George, genuinely, there's no need to almost throw out over these self-sabotage and wasters. There's too many. There's too many at the club now that are past it and they need to move on. We've talked about this at length, and it's just, it sort of sums up the way that the club was run in the past. That there are so many of them that are still there, and they've not been able to be moved on, and that has to change going forward. And hopefully, new money coming into the club. If there's a change in sort of the PSR and stuff for the summer, that allows the club to be able to shift them on and not have to give players like Dummett an extra year's contract just to be able to fill out the squad. Andrew, we've been so wasteful against those 4 or 5 clubs hovering around Blades and Burnley, handing out points. Yeah, really charitable. and charity has to stop. There's got to be a ruthlessness. There really does, and that has to come back. And I thought first half, I thought that might have been there. The Isak looked sharp. He got that goal, really, really good goal. And he's is it 19 he's now got for the season? He's got the highest goal ratio, goal per game ratio in the league. I think going into the game, it was something like 0.84 goals per game, which is higher than I think the next closest were Haaland and, funny enough, Chris Wood with 0.8. So and Chris Wood scored again tonight. So he's showing his class, and I guess there's a little fear that if Newcastle do finish outside of the European places, that players like Isak could be tempted to move on to Champions League sides and things like that. So there is a little bit of fear that creeps in for things like that. But look, ultimately it's just really, really, really annoying that you throw away 2 points right at the end, and it's such a blow to come that late in the game. Corner knockout out of nowhere. Yeah, I mean, maybe this is a future for Dummy in the WWE. It's as Paul Sales says, it cost us the match. I'm not happy. It is, and it absolutely is. I think there was an awful lot wrong in that second half, but Everton never really, really threatened. They didn't force Dubravka into saves. They didn't have to. He didn't look uncomfortable. He didn't look like he was being tested at all. And it's just for something like that to give the game away. It's just, I can't think of another way. It's just frustrating as hell to watch that. And as Durbin says, they're struggling in a team fourth bottom. I think there's lots of issues in terms of the injuries and things, but look, the side that started were good enough to beat Everton easily, and they showed that in the first half, and they should have been out of sight. But it does show that there is a severe lack of quality behind that whatever first 11 is put out. Angela, baby, we should be winning these matches. Yeah, can't disagree with that. Absolutely, that should be 3 points. The game at Everton should be 3 points. There should really be no challenge in this. And I know not every game's easy, but those are games, especially at home, you just have to be winning, and you run out of excuses for them. You really do, and they've brought that on. I think the players have brought it on themselves. The second half was really, really flat. As George is there, flatter than a flat thing in a flattening factory. That's exactly how it felt the second half. It was really flat. I think the atmosphere felt flat. I think it was up first half, second half. It really felt like it died, and the team sort of responded to that. But yeah, Ian in the comments here, Bruno was sensational. He cannot be sold. I thought Bruno was really good tonight. He was really the only one at the end that was showing the drive to kind of get back in that run. He sort of took on right towards the end where he gets through three players and draws the free kick. It was that sort of drive, but he needs help. And I get Steve's comment about we can't dominate against a relegation side, but he can't do it all on his own from there. I understand your comment, Steve, but he has to have the pieces around him, and the likes of Longstaff just aren't giving him any support there, and he just can't do it on his own. Frank in the comments here, Longstaff shouldn't be anywhere near the team. The guys are useless. Well, he's not had a really good season at all, has he? I mean, let's be frank. We like the effort he puts in at times, but quality-wise, it's dropped way off. A huge part of that, I think, is the fact that Joe Linton's not there. I think that allows Sean to relax a little bit more. But it's just he's got to pick it up. He really has to put a performance in, because he's been missing far more times than he hasn't, and it's really telling. He just doesn't. when he plays like this, he doesn't offer anything. I think there's a few comments in here where he just said he just doesn't offer anything at all. He doesn't offer anything up front. He doesn't offer anything really defensively, because he just doesn't get involved in that side, or he gets bypassed, and it's far too easy to play past him at time, and he looks lost an awful lot of the game, and he's one that I would take out, because I think he needs to be taken out of the firing line again. So, as Daniel says here, he's completely shot Longstaff. He needed taken out weeks ago, but Eddie loves him, and I get why he does, because he usually runs himself into the ground, but he is in the ground. He's done it. He's absolutely knackered, and he needs a break. And the fact that there are so many players missing, that it doesn't help. But there was an opportunity to maybe have started Willock and Anderson tonight, and given Sean a rest and bring him on later on when the game is won. But it's just, it's not in Eddie's thinking, is it, to take him out? And there are a few like that. On a flip point, I thought Dan Burn was really, really good tonight. Back in his natural position at centre back, I thought he was excellent. He was dominant in the air. I thought he read the game well. He was good. His tackling was really on point. He got himself into position to clear the ball a lot. So I thought he had a really good game. Excuse me. So yeah, I give him some credit. I thought he did very well, but it's like I say, that there are a few that continue to get their places in the team and in the squad at times when they just don't deserve to continue to get picked week in, week out. Mark says Karius injured. I thought, is Karius on the bench tonight? Yeah, he was on the bench tonight along with Mark Gillespie, who appears is going to get another year. I mean, Mark Gillespie has the easiest job in the entire universe to sit on a bench or at home playing FIFA or Football Manager and pick up his 10 grand a week or whatever it is, and never, ever, ever play. It feels like Scott Carson at Manchester City. He's just there to make up the numbers. And that to me feels like an odd one as well. But yeah, Steve, where the heck is Target? This is a good question. I mean, he's been injured for so long, we kind of forget where he's been and what's going on with him. And there was talk that he would be back by now, and then that's gone back. And many of the players, there always seems to be a setback in their recovery. Trippier now looks to be out for another 3 weeks. There was the report at one point today that Nick Pope had suffered a setback and would be out for the rest of the season, which was then counteracted by, I think it was Craig Hoper said they were hoping for him to be back before the end of the season, which could then help him with his Euro squad place. But the likes of Target, it's just these injuries that they keep reoccurring, or they pick up something else while they're off. And Chris did a video we put out this morning about the investigation that's going to go on at the end of the season. I mean, that has really, to me, that has to have started now, or it had to have started weeks ago, because this is continuing to happen where players are picking up injuries and then they're not recovering properly, and then they're picking up something else, or they're suffering a relapse of an injury where they've been allowed to return to training too early, and something's just not right. Tsunami says there, Gillespie getting a new contract. Why? I genuinely don't understand that one at all. It's just a bizarre one. When I know Karius is due to leave at the end of the season, I would imagine if Dubravka's probably going to leave. I think that seems a likely scenario. Nick Pope's back fit, but then if you then go out and pick up another goalkeeper, I know the rumours today about Aaron Ramsdale again being linked to the club, so that could be one that we look at again in the next few days. A potential other goalkeeper coming in, but you need a third. I'm not entirely sure what the younger goalkeepers are like in the club, but Gillespie just fills in that third spot, really. And sort of half makes sense in that regard, but he's never going to play, and it just feels like he's taking up a squad space. Not very much money, I grant you, but it does just feel that way. So I'm going to get through a few more comments before I call it a night. Paul there again, yeah, lack of proper backup on the bench cost us 2 points. It is the squad depth is awful. And really telling. And I know there are so many players missing, but it's that drop off, and I said that before. The drop off between the kind of the proper first team squad players and the next lot that are still there is so huge that this has to change over the summer, and these players have to be moved on. Not sure what that was a response to. Probably a good place to start looking for some new players here on eBay. I'm going to take a couple more out of the bottom of here before I go. So where are we? What's that? Yellow card for Gordon has been very costly, massive. Actually, that was one of the things that I sort of picked up from the game as well. How many cynical fouls? How many yellow card offences were let go? And there were a couple really early on. There was a Beto arm across Dan Burns' face. There was Harvey Barnes was thrown to the floor. I think Eddie Anderson was thrown to the floor as well. And Bruno gets into a tussle with Garner Gay. The free kick it really is initially on Bruno, and it ends up being given to Everton. But at least two Newcastle players are thrown to the floor by Everton players, and nothing's given. There's the awful challenge from Tarkowski later on Murphy, where he rakes down the back of his Achilles. He gets a yellow, but then a couple of minutes later, there's a cynical foul on. I think it was on Dummett, and nothing's given again, and that's to me that's preventing a promising break at that point, and that should be a yellow card too. So the refereeing tonight was really, really patchy. I didn't think he was particularly bad, but I just don't think he was very good. He was very hit and miss with what he was given, and it seemed an awful lot that was let go when it really shouldn't. Conrad there saying that Murphy challenge was red. I mean, it was horrible. I mean, there's absolutely no. He wasn't on the ball. He wasn't anywhere near it. It was just Tarkowski's taking a right kind of swipe down the back of him, and it's such an awful, awful challenge, and that could have been really serious. And I know it was checked by VAR according to the TV, but yeah, I'm sort of on the kind of with you with that one. It was borderline there. It was really an awful challenge. And I think we go back to the previous conversation we had about the orange cards and stuff. I think that probably would have been one because it was so cynical. It was so unnecessary. It was. But the referee again. You can't blame him for the entire game. You can't blame him for the fact that the side have dropped 2 points. But I just thought he was pretty poor. As Steve says here, bad from Dummett. Game should have been well over by then. Completely agree. Excuse me. I think that's it. I think I've got through an awful lot of them. Sorry, I can't get through them all. There's an awful lot in there. So thank you very much for joining in. Obviously, we will be back with I've got a rumour has it video to come on Evan Nielsen from Porto. I think we will have another one on Aaron Ramsdale to come as well later this week. We'll obviously have a preview for the weekend too. And yeah, I think that we'll leave it there for tonight. Thank you very much for everybody getting involved tonight. Your comments always help these videos flow. So thank you very much for getting involved in those. As I said at the beginning, if you are new to the channel, please drop a like on the video and consider subscribing too. We are closing in, like I say, on that 7,000 figure. So help us get there and continue to help this channel grow. And yeah, we will see you later on in the week. I say thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we will catch you soon. Cheers. Bye.